Trusty Ape Man here. See what I did there? Okay, is this thing on? Oh, yeah, alright. It looks like my mic is kind of low, but we could turn it up maybe, I guess. That's the thing we can do. Go to, there. Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now? Good, good. Okay, well, anyway, so this is the thing I was going to do, and yeah, so I'm doing it, obviously. And this was a survey posted by this guy, Deconverted Man, Deconverted Man, kind of, yeah. He wrote this book and stuff, and he's been on here before. And, cool guy, recommend his stuff if you don't know him. But he had this survey that he put up on October 24th here. And I was like, okay, yeah, I'm definitely going to take this survey. And I looked at it and I was like, this is a lot of questions, so I better probably just make a video response. And so that's what I'm doing. And then I looked at it like a couple days ago, and I looked at this channel, Math Physics Nerd, who had already done like a response video to this. And I was like, oh, they beat me to it, and they did it in like 23 minutes or something. And I thought this would probably take me like closer to a half hour, but we'll see. Not that it's like a competition, it's not a race, to finish the survey or whatever, but just trying to do it. So I thought, so I was looking at some of these questions, and I was like, okay, so some of these, probably I could just say like yes or no, and then some of them I might, actually expound upon my answer a little bit or something, if I feel that's kind of necessary or what have you, and then maybe later, for simplification, I can come back and just timestamp where I'm at in the questions and add Deconverted Man in the video, because obviously I can't do that just through StreamYard or whatever. So without further ado, this survey says, survey for non-believers, atheist, agnostic, skeptic, etc. Oh yeah, and of course Deconverted Man has my full permission to use all or part or none of this video in whatever project this accumulates to, but yeah, that's fine. Whatever he decides to do, I'm just responding to the survey. So, believer in the survey below is someone that believes in deity or God's God. Please put your links to whatever social media you want to have displayed: name, channel name, avatar name, etc. You may respond in text, audio, or video. Audio, and I feel so inclined to do, which I am now, and please email me. I can send that via email too. Yeah, the email address is there. Okay, first question. What is your preferred label? Atheist, freethinker, skeptic, non-believer? So for me personally, I kind of like flouting the atheist flag for a number of reasons. Personally, I find it tickles me when somebody acts like they are personally offended by my atheism, by my non-belief, right? As if it's somehow against them or something, which I guess it kind of is, but not really. It's not like their Jesus, right? So if I'm I don't believe in Jesus, it's like, my Jesus! It's like, you don't know the guy either, but, they think they do, so I guess there's something there. But anyway, but generally, if I'm actually talking to most theists, in real day-to-day life, I would probably identify as a non-believer, just to kind of soften that, the blow a little bit there. So yeah, it kind of depends on the situation, but I think freethinker and skeptic, I like those terms, but they don't really say anything about my actual belief. So in a way, my non-belief is a representation of my actual belief, right? Because I'm not really agnostic. I think there's probably considerations that could be made for different possible things, but basically the gods that are described to us in our mythology are obviously not real. So that's what I think about that, I guess. I don't know if that was that too much. So atheist, non-believer, I think describe it best, I suppose. Are you a naturalist? Yes. Are you a materialist? Yes, but not strict materialist. So I do believe in like some concepts of not like thoughts, right? Thoughts I think aren't material in themselves, but they, may be produced by material, and they may then, in turn, produce material outcomes, and that thoughts, translate into like beliefs and actions, right? But they themselves aren't material. So I don't know if that, but yes, I am a materialist. Is there a difference between a materialist, naturalist, and if so, what is that difference? I think I explained this a little bit before, so to me, the natural world includes immaterial phenomenon, but they do affect the material stuff there, right? Like, so the wind is immaterial, but wind causes, things to happen, depending how fast it's going and all of that. So it does affect us. We feel its effects, right? Okay. Has anything Richard Dawkins said or wrote influenced your deconversion? If you had one, how much do you care about what Dawkins says? So Richard Dawkins didn't directly influence my deconversion. I don't necessarily call it a deconversion because I was never fully converted, right? But I was seeking for belief, and Dawkins kind of helped to solidify my turn away from that endeavor in some ways. But Dawkins was a very small part. I didn't really get into him until kind of later on. How much do I care about what Dawkins says? I think he has some smart things to say, and I think he has some really dumb things to say, and so I don't think he's a role model in that sense. I think he's good at teaching certain things, and there's certain things I could care less about his opinion. What does the word atheist mean to you? Atheist is the lack in belief in God, right? The rejection of the claim of the gods, at least the ones that you are aware of, right? I don't think you can be atheistic to gods that you are not aware of. I think it would only apply to gods that you are aware of. So, yeah, I don't think I need to go any further with that one. What do you think the word atheist means to other atheists? Well, I know people have their own kind of interpretations of that, and then there's like classical atheist, and I'm not even sure what new atheism is, but basically I think atheism is a term that unites us in the rejection of the God that we commonly share, like in the United States here. Most people are Christians, so most of us are talking about rejecting Christianity, although, most of us probably apply that to other Abrahamic faiths, or I know some people don't like that term, whatever, faiths based on Judaism, essentially. So, yeah, I definitely think that atheism can kind of mean different things to different people, but it also just identifies you with a community of people who reject the God claim. What do you think the word atheist means to believers? Okay, I've heard a lot of people talk about this in terms of so some believers might see atheists as being like heretics, and some believers might see atheists as just being people who are not yet saved. So I think it's a lot more vague to believers, and when they talk about it amongst themselves, there will often be a lot of doublespeak, and kind of it's just messy. So I don't think believers have a solid agreement on what atheists are in their worldview, because some of them would have to say they are the enemy, they are of Satan or whatever, right? And the other ones would have to say, no, they just haven't seen the light or whatever type of thing. So you could get anywhere in that spectrum. I've heard a few believers say that they think that atheists most likely are saved. For whatever reason, doesn't matter whether they like claim it or not, but that they believe that atheists would still be saved, since they are not. I don't know. I don't really understand that argument too well, but I have heard it before. Okay, what do you think the word agnostic means? So I think the word agnostic is like an I don't know or I don't care. More often, I think that people in the atheist community who identify as agnostic just prefer not to be involved in an argument. And they could say, oh yeah, your God might or might not be real, and I can't prove or disprove it to you, and so it's not worth the argument to me. So that's what I kind of see the agnostic position as being. And sometimes I feel it's a little bit like disingenuous. Not always, but with some people I've seen, I'm like, yeah, I feel like you're not really, like you're just avoiding an argument. Yeah. What do you think the word agnostic means to believers? So, again, I think believers could interpret this as saying, well, an agnostic might as well just be a pagan because they could accept or reject, any number of gods. Or an agnostic is just somebody who believes, but they are afraid to admit they believe for some reason, probably because they're in an atheist community and they think they would be ridiculed or something. Or an agnostic is somebody who knows that there is a God, but like refuses to say it. I think that would be like the Darth Dawkins position, where they're saying that basically you're just being weak, and you're kind of like subject to peer pressure, and so you're afraid to proclaim yourself as a believer, and so instead you say you are an agnostic. And what do you think the word agnostic means to agnostics? And like any of these, I think it's definitely very personal. But again, my take has been that most agnostics would prefer not to get involved in the argument. That's kind of where I stand on that. What does the word skeptic mean to you? It certainly doesn't mean cynic. I'll tell you that. Okay, so on skepticism, my thoughts. I think everybody is a skeptic to some point. I think a true skeptic is somebody who is very introspective, bluntly honest, and so in that way they'll be examining their own pre-existing beliefs, their dispositions, with the same skepticism as new ones that are brought to them or introduced by the outside. Right, but I think initially a skeptic would inquire into the nature of a thing, right? Anytime that somebody makes a claim to you, hey, it's cold outside, a skeptic is not necessarily just going to trust that the information given to them is correct, right? They want to go look out the window, maybe, crack the door open, pop a finger out and test the, you know what I mean. Like they want to go and see if it's cold outside for themselves. That's obviously like a weird kind of example, but in that way, that kind of carries over into everything. I think a skeptic is somebody who wants to find out for themselves, and so they question most or all of what is told to them. What do you think the word skeptic means to other skeptics? Yeah, I think skeptics might agree with me that skepticism is kind of a mode of thinking that is analytical and that is not trusting merely in the observations of others, but testing those claims out for oneself. What do you think the word skeptic means to believers? I think most believers might think skepticism is akin to cynicism. I also think that in argument, right, they are going to use this pejoratively most of the time. When I've seen it with believers, if they say you're skeptical, is basically your skepticism is a denial of what you already know to be true, because they believe that we do believe in God and we're just denying it because we hate God or something like that. That's kind of most commonly what I encounter, I think. Oh boy, this one. See, it kind of got, yeah, all right. So we're like halfway there, I think. How much time, broadly speaking, have you studied the following? That's going to be tough to answer. Science, broadly, I would, science is, obviously, various fields. How do I answer this? I'm like, because I didn't go to university or anything like that. I've studied in my own time, and I do a lot of like behavioral science studies and things like that. So I'm gonna say 10 years, maybe 10 years. I mean, not like constantly, but as far as like time that I have spent actually studying, not just like listening to YouTube, but like doing studies for school or work or participating in those types of things, right? I guess, I don't know, that was really tough for me to answer. Cosmology, not very much. I would say probably, less than a year or two or something. Biology, a bit more, 2 to 3 years. Informal logic, not as much as I should. Informal logic, formal logic, I'll lump those together as maybe 1 to 2 years. Philosophy, a bit more, probably again like 3, 4 years. Epistemology is something I'm still working on, within the realm of philosophy. So we'll give that one 3 years. World religions. Actually, I spent most of my life studying world religions, broadly speaking. So I'm going to give that one probably the most. I'm going to say 15, 20 years. Judeo-Christian Bible or other holy books. And so that would go in the same category. So funny story, when I was a kid, I asked my mom which church we belonged to at one point, pretty early on. It was like 2nd grade. And she said, well, I was raised as a Catholic, but I don't know anymore. And here, you can make up your own mind. And she gave me various books, and some were about Christianity and Buddhism, and so I read a lot about that as a kid, and then after that I ended up trying to write my own Bible very unsuccessfully, and that has been lost to the annals of history, so but I mean, holy books were kind of a big thing for me when I was younger, and then as I got older I kind of grew out of them and have come back into the fold as far as looking back into them for the purposes of arguing with believers, oddly enough. Okay, what do you think God is? Made up? Is it made up? Object of the mind? Delusion? Illusion? I think it's an amalgamation of some of all of those. So ultimately, I think organized religion is a form of control, but I think God is a concept that seems intuitive to people who don't understand science and things that are happening around them. So I think it is something of an illusion, right? It's a placeholder for things that can't be explained or things that we can't control. And so they put in this placeholder that's God. No, at the same time, I think in the deeper philosophical realm, you could possibly make some pretty powerful arguments there, but most people wouldn't understand those. So if there is a God, I think it is beyond, it would be rather beyond our comprehension, our power of articulating what that entity or whatever would actually constitute, right? Because we have no examples of it in reality. So I would say it's more illusion, but in the sense of the organized religion, it is made up in the sense that its intentions and all of that seem to be known, and it seems to be that those are actually the intentions of people in power who want to retain power and keep people submissive and subservient. Do you hate God? I love this question. No, I don't hate God. I don't believe in God. I can't hate something I don't believe in. Furthermore, I somewhat renounced hatred as a thing several years ago, so I don't believe in hate. I do believe that some people believe in it, but I just I don't. It's not a thing for me anymore. I can't afford to have it in my life. I think the act of hating something is possibly more detrimental to the person who is doing the hating than the person or thing that is being hated, right? So, do you hate religion? Sometimes, no. Just to directly contradict myself, no, I don't hate religion, but I do despise it, and I do think, as stated previously, that it is a means of control of the masses, and it's a means to keep people superstitious, and ultimately to keep their hands out of power and politics, right? And to elaborate on that a bit, I think that the way religion works is specifically in Christianity, people are told that they are servants, and they're servants of this higher being, and that their job is to eat and pray and have a family and go to work and not get too wrapped up in the earthly things, as they say, things that are actually going on around you, whether it be politics, entertainment, anything like that, right? These are all the earthly things that religion would try to keep you away from, and so it creates an insulated environment where the community you have is very carefully curated, and your position in society is fixed, and you would never want for more under that worldview. It wouldn't necessarily occur to you, and if you were to try to obtain power, it would probably be within your church, right? And so this kind of keeps people away from the broader game of what's going on geopolitically. They don't really understand or care what's going on in other cultures and other countries, right? Because religion keeps the mind closed. So I don't hate it, but I despise it. Do you want to get rid of religion? Yeah, I do. Yes. I think people can practice rituals and spirituality in their own way, and that's fine, but I don't see any benefits to organized religion ultimately that can't be achieved by secular groups. Do you want to deconvert people from religion? Yeah, I mean, I would like to. It's not like a goal of mine, but when I talk to believers, I do hope to reason them out of whatever irrational beliefs that they might hold. What is the true nature of reality? Damn, we're getting deeper here. I think the true nature of reality is that it's kind of like Popeye, it is what it is. I am what I am, man. And also that things evolve, systems evolve, and so the nature of reality, I think, ultimately is to change. However, slowly and imperceptibly. And so I don't think that anything is fixed or static, right? That's my understanding of the universe. It's my understanding of life on Earth. Everything is constantly in a state of change, and that is the true nature of reality. Does life matter? Well, it matters to us because we're living, right? In the grand cosmic scheme of things, who could say? We have no way of knowing. But if it matters to us, then it does matter, right? What we experience here matters to us. It matters to people we care about, and therefore it matters. And the only, you know, way we could think of now, we could all get wiped out tomorrow, and then none of it would matter, but it still would, because we had whatever experience we had that mattered to us at the time, and that's all we're left with. After we're not here anymore, then maybe it matters to someone or something else, right? But not us anymore. Because, again, I think the true nature of reality is just that everything changes. What happens when we die? Well, usually they will have, like a trained professional come and pick up the body. Oh, no, wait, that's not what you meant. Okay. I don't think, I don't know if I would rule out some type of experience after death. I don't think we could prove that. But I think there is something to the idea that that the energy dispersed from an individual when they die must be like redispersed elsewhere. What do you call that, reincarnation or whatever, right? Because there's something that says like the energy not created or destroyed can't be, right? Like I think that's what it said, something like that. So. And maybe that's just a thought that I hold. Now, with that being said, honestly, when I say I am agnostic to that, the answer to that question, I am, pretty much agnostic. I don't know, and I don't think it's worth arguing about too much. But I would say that it's definitely not a celestial afterlife, or whatever that's called, and heaven and hell and all of that stuff is completely silly. Regardless of the fanciful idea of whether or not energy has to go somewhere after we die, the energy contained within us or whatever, or a consciousness or what have you, I think for us, our conscious experience, the lights go out, the body shuts down, the brain shuts down, and we are, we cease to experience. So you can't say that we experience nothingness, because that would be an experience, but we cease to have any experience. And that's kind of, that's it in a nutshell, I suppose. Do you hold any beliefs that are not mundane, i.e. ESP, aliens visiting Earth, time travelers are real, moon is a big space station, conspiracy theories? So I don't know if I hold it as a belief, but again, I am agnostic to certain claims, whether or not aliens have visited Earth. I think it's unlikely that a lot of the abduction stories we hear are real at all or anything like that, but or encounter stories or whatever you call them, right? But with the vastness of the universe and the time that we've been here and what we can do, and so I think there's a possibility, it's definitely possible that extraterrestrials have visited Earth at some point in time, if not repeatedly, and we probably wouldn't know about it, or we wouldn't know very much about it. But I don't think there's any evidence of that. So once again, that's kind of an agnostic claim. I'm not saying that it is, I'm not saying that it isn't, but I'm saying that it could be. The rest of these, no. I do have some interesting political conspiracy theories you might like to hear about, but that's for another time. Okay. Why do you talk about God so much if you don't believe in it? For me, I think I'm fairly responding to a lot of the people around me and the culture that I live in. And so I am talking about it in the context of speaking to a person, generally speaking, who does believe. And when I talk about it with other atheists or skeptics, if you will, or what have you, I am probably, there's some degree of satire, and when you break some of these concepts down, it's funny, ha ha. But I don't think that I don't really talk about God very much. Like in my day to day, it doesn't come up, right? It comes up a lot in these conversations and online spaces. Um, but when I'm going about my day to day life, I'm going to work, I'm going to the grocery store. This stuff just doesn't come up, and it's only the Christians around me who I'll, hear them, out of nowhere. They've got to be like, "God bless, have a blessed day." Oh, there, some variation on bringing up their God claim within the day. But I don't argue with those people. I don't. I reserve that for this space. So actually, it's not me talking about God. It's all these other people talking about God, and then eventually, I kind of pressurize and have to release that pressure over here. So I don't talk about God at all. What do you mean? What do you think believers misunderstand most about non-believers? I think the questions above are kind of summarize it. Thinking that we hate God, we hate our actual biological father as some representation of God or something like that, and that's just not necessarily the case. And I don't think most non-believers are actually anti-theist or anti-religion. I don't think most non-believers would make the claim like I did that we should get rid of religion or deconvert people from religion necessarily. In my experience, that they kind of seem to adopt the more religious stance that, well, when people are ready, when they start asking these questions for themselves, they will come to our side, of their own volition, rather than like, hey, let's, my kind of anti-theist position is we should push this issue a little bit, but in the right context, right? Okay, and what do you think non-believers misunderstand about believers? I think many believers are probably less superstitious than we give them credit for, but it's only because they hold on to certain big superstitions that would say, then why don't you believe this and this and this? And when it seems like, we're actually challenging the core belief, but rather than that, we're kind of, I think we broach on the fact that if they have already shed many of those other superstitions, maybe they are building up to the core belief, right? And I don't think most believers actually think as much about the ritual they're performing as much as they are just programmed to perform the ritual. The whole God bless, that's my God. When they're doing that, it's almost like a tick, right? It's not something they're conscious of. It's programmed into them, and so it's an involuntary response. Okay, and I finished the survey. So thanks to Deconverted Man for this survey, and I see, there's people in the chat. Wow. Let's see, Sandy. Hey, good to see you. Skyworks 600. Oh, thank you. Yeah. Put it on 2 times speed. All right. Good to see Skyworks. Captain just said, I did mine. Hey, good to see you, Dave. I hope you're doing well today. I hope your treatments are going well. And Sandy says, hello, Skyworks Dave. Just listening while doing some desk work. That's good. I'm here at the desk. There's 3 at the desk now. Skyworks 600 says, my missus is badgering me about my posture and finding tasks for me, so I'm finding it difficult to concentrate fully. Oh no, sorry to hear that. Mine left me alone for the whole stream so far, so I haven't had any kids bust in on me. It's been and people saying hi. Mrs. has just popped upstairs to do her exercise, so I think I'm free for a little bit. Good deal. And then this one guy says, if people can't have religion, is there any true freedom? So I don't know. I don't know how to answer that. I think, I agree with that what we're talking about is actually freedom from religion. that, my opinion at least, and maybe other, some other atheists out there, is that freedom, or religion rather, is actually a form of control, and so you are less free with your religion, and you might not realize it. But hey, that's our opinion, man, right? We have to prove it to you. And Captain Just says, got a new TV. We are America as can be again. Very good. That's awesome. Skywork 600 says, you can have religion if you wish. I just find it a poor representation of the cosmos, the universe, and the forces that play a part in its existence. I think I agree with that. Again, like, when I think of religion, I think of the organized form. When I think of like things like spirituality and faith, I think maybe that's fine for you. But I just think that the more people who are subscribed to the church, they're they're donating money, they're doing this, they're doing that, and it's like the more it becomes less of a personal faith and more of like an act of like tribalism, right? Like basically tribalism, and then also there are, and this is kind of goes into my political conspiracy theories thing, right? But we and it's not really a conspiracy theory because you can kind of point to it where we have these, like mega church people who are, they own Walmart, and then they're donating to the Republicans, and then there's all these connections in between where it seems like the church buys up political influence, right? And often its members don't really have a say in that, and actually they're further subjugated. They are told who to vote for by their pastor, right, in some of these places. But Skeptic Philosophy, good to see you. Yeah, well, that's just like your opinion, man. So, I do think the organization of religion is what is really dangerous. Now, I think we should still probably try to guide people away from having too many unnecessary superstitious beliefs. But, I don't think that's really the harmful part. The harmful part comes when the church is over here, again, supporting political campaigns and things like that. And it's just, it's not my, I don't like it. No, I don't like it. I'll make a better argument for it later, but that's where I leave that one. What are opinions built on? Opinions are built on, wait, I know the answer to this one. Well, I think opinions, so if we say, okay, opinions, they're based on a number of factors, right? Because it could be based on your education, whether that be from parents, from school, from peers, but then it's also going to be based on your intuitions and your experiences. So you might have an experience that leads you to say that, okay, maybe this, widely held belief that my parents told me is not actually the case, right? And you have an experience about it, and then you begin to internalize that feeling, right? Once you internalize the feeling that, oh, what I have been told is wrong, then that leads you to do more research, more thinking about it independently, and then you might find that other people actually agree with you, and so then you've kind of re-educated yourself, right? So your opinion can be shaped by many things over time, but I think initially we're reflections of those people in our lives, that bring us up, that rear us as children, and then once we gain more and more independence, then our opinions become more refined and personal and are probably likely to change. I hope. I don't know. Yeah, something like that. Thank you. Well done. I don't know if that's me or... Oh, no. Captain Desk. Good. I have a leaf guard, bird on the frame till it snows. They don't mind the cold. Just got to keep it clean of leaves. They can make the clarity a mess. Nice. Skeptic Philosophy says that was a quote from the dude. Opinions are built on shoulders and everything between your left ear and right one. That's all. Okay, okay. Yeah, I mean, I knew the first part, but I didn't know the answer for that one. I was like trying to answer this seriously. My bad. I should have known. I should have known. All right, dudes. Well, that's it for me because I was going to keep this one short, and I still have to go do the timestamps because this one's going to be really fun for Deconverted Man to go back and listen to. Just be like, what is this man babbling about? But anyway, with that all said and done, thanks to Deconverted Man for the survey, and thanks to everybody for stopping by. Skeptic Philosophy, Captive Test, Skywork 600, Sandy, this one guy, and did I miss anybody? Did I miss anybody today? I'm trying to get everybody in the chat. I think that was everybody in the chat. If I missed you, sorry about that. And until next time, much love, be well, and stay trusty. Oh, and Dr. Mordecai, Cassius Marcellus Jones Jr. Good to see you at the end, buddy. All right, stay trusty, and have a happy Sunday. See you next time.